The celebration of the 109th anniversary of Philippine Independence Day, its proclamation years ago, will be soon celebrated under the theme of Bayan, Bayani, and Bayanihan, courtesy of the Department of Tourism. In the attempt sometimes to accentuate the celebration by proclaiming some popular personalities as icon of the Bayani, let us not forget the innumerable and unnamed personalities, the unnamed Bayani of the recently held May 14 election. I am referring to the thousands of volunteers of PPCRB and of NAMFREL who did their work in the face of difficulties, odds, frustrations, and even threats to their life, only to defend the sacredness of our vote. May we consider them also as our heroes, as the Bayani of our Bayan, expressing the Bayanihan during the recently held May 14 election. Another aspect of Bayani or Bayanihan is this. On the negative side, we are shamed and saddened by comments about our country being in the rank among those with the most records of graft and corruption, unresolved cases of heinous crimes, and even of mysterious disappearances, unabated extrajudicial killings. There are so much demand for retribution to helpless and voiceless victims. May we not consider also the victims of these heinous crimes, Bayani ng Bayan, especially that their appeals are apparently falling on deaf ears. Our Kalayaan Day, on this day we would like to join the clamor for the restoration or reform of the victims of disappearances. Our prayers is that they will be allowed to return safe and sound to their grieving and anxious families in order to enjoy just the basic freedom of life. Both agents and victims, especially victims of graft and corruption, are negative notes to the celebration of Kalayaan Day. That while we have been liberated from the control of foreign invaders, we are victims of the abuses and exploitation of fellow Filipinos. In a few days, that is on June 10, a Sunday, 2 days before Independence Day, will be the 19th anniversary of the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, or CARP. It was a program to reduce rural poverty by giving freedom to rural folks through access to land. According to statistics, 3/4 of the poor in our country belong to the rural poor. Numbers alone make the program of agrarian reform still a necessity and an urgent situation. The land reform has both its encouraging and discouraging aspects. Naturally, its pros and cons. This is where discussion is needed and encouraged. The campaign for agrarian reform is still relevant and must be made to succeed. Because of the extent of rural poverty and the necessity of freedom from bondage to land through genuine legal agrarian reform and war against rural landlessness, the Church likewise joins the aspirations, the hopes, and the dreams of rural farmers. According to the social teachings of the Church, and I quote, "An equitable distribution of land remains ever critical, especially in developing countries. In rural areas, the possibility of acquiring land through opportunities opened by labor and credit market is a necessary condition for access to other goods and services." We will find this in the Compendium of the Social Teachings of the Church, number 180. It means that the distribution of land supported by law must also be accompanied by other supports and services to make the reform truly meaningful and beneficial. Again, the social teachings of the Church has it. Agrarian reform is a moral obligation more than a political necessity, since the failure to enact such reform is hindrance in these countries to the benefits arising from the opening of markets and generally from the abundant growth opportunities offered by the current process of globalization. We find this in the Compendium number 300. Finally, a word of encouragement and a word for suggestion. We need more than prayer and preaching, but these two, prayer and preaching, will help support the efforts of people working for agrarian reform. We therefore encourage that on June 10, a Sunday, the prayer of the faithful in our churches shall include the aspiration for genuine agrarian reform, and that the homilies will make mention of the same. That our rural people, the farmers who are bound to the land they till for life and support, may receive the true freedom envisioned by the principle of agrarian reform.